Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. I it feels so good to be here. Welcome to Untangled. Turn that light down a little bit. Welcome to Untangled, everyone. We are on episode 114, and it is so good to be here with you guys. I feel like I have so much I want to share, and I first want to just start and say if you are brand new and you've never heard of Untangled, you don't know how you got to this video live or on the replay. Untangled is my series that I do every week, and I talk about the evolution in human consciousness. And I break it down into very simple concepts and understandings. And I really just talk about the human experience and what the human experience is like through an evolutionary process, which is what you and I are going through. And I share a lot of my own personal stories and personal experiences because we're all walking each other through this. We're all in this together, and there is not one person on this planet that knows what's going on and that understands it and that has the book to get that, that's already done it. We're all beginners. We're all in kindergarten together. Um, so it's really good to be on this path with you. Thank you for being here. And subscribe to my channel if you want. Not that it works right now anyways on YouTube because there's something funky been happening on my channel. But anyway, before I get started with what I want to share, I did just want to send out just the awareness of a huge amount of prayer to the whole LA area and bring bring a little bit of it doesn't take much to just simply pray really quickly, and you can just visualize, that whole area beaming with light. You can visualize God holding all of those people. You can, um, just allow your heart to break when you think about it. That's enough too. Um, but just sending prayers to that whole area of California right now, and letting that awareness ripple out to the whole planet, and letting the devastation that happened in LA, let it remind us of other devastations that are happening around the planet, and to pray for the whole planet, to pray for the whole of humanity. Um, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the fires and what I've felt into. But we're in for a really crazy ride. So anyway, if you're from the LA County area and you've been impacted, I'm so sorry. My heart goes out to you. If you have family and friends, um, prayers are up every day for all of you. Every day I wake up and I'm praying, um, not just for LA, but the whole planet. Don't underestimate prayer. And don't estimate God at this time. Whatever you imagine God to be, don't underestimate it. It's a powerful force and it creates miracles. So I just wanted to share that and get that out there. And then I'm going to dive right into it. Thank you, Tracy, for that super chat. I'm going to dive right into the conversation today. So this is gonna be a lot of personal shares of my experience the last 2 weeks here, and uh, it will be, something that you can use and access, and, there's teachings in all of this. So, I've been at this, lodge for 2 weeks in Kenya, and I came here because I was gonna write, my second book, and the second book was called The God Particle. And what's so interesting about just those few sentences is that I thought I was going to write a book. I thought it was going to be called The God Particle. I thought I was guided here for that reason. Um, and the reason I'm pointing that out is because there's a massive shift that's about to happen on the planet where we are gonna start to realize more and more, and it will be in small groups, but we're gonna start realizing that we're actually not in control, and that the only way to navigate this evolutionary shift is to start recognizing that something bigger than us, that is also here as us, inside of us, is guiding us. And it's much bigger than a higher self, it's much bigger than soul. It's, this vast, ever-present, divine frequency or light, um, that you can call whatever label you want, but it's waking up humanity right now, and it's waking you up, and it will continue to wake us up, and it's not some man sitting on some throne at the pearly gates of heaven. It is everything that ever is, was, and will be. It is what created everything that could ever be experienced. Um, and it's coming into the human experience. It's coming into this planetary experience to assist in this next level of awakening. And it has no I mean, you think about the galactic wars and the reptilians and, all this stuff that we learn about and we talk about, at least I have in many, 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 many videos. This essence, they those galactic beings and UFOs and reptilians and the Illuminati and the deep state, they have nothing on this energy. Nothing. They have nothing. And so I'm going off on a tangent because it's just so profound what's about to happen on this planet and what I had no idea about. So I'll come back to the deeper how this deeper awareness really settled into me. I'm at this hotel on a cliff, and there's 10 tents, and I'm all by myself, and there's very few people that stay here, so it's very quiet, very serene, very silent. Thank you, Good Run, for that super chat, I really appreciate it. There's nothing to do, there's nothing, and, I sit down for the first couple of days and because 'cause I'm in charge, little Lori, and I'm like, "I'm gonna write this book, and I'm gonna receive the downloads from the ancient ones, and here we go." And a couple of days into that, um, I had a massive breakdown, and when I was here, the first couple of days, I could feel this presence of what I'm gonna just call God. I could feel this presence, and it was all around me. Um, and it was with me, it was speaking to me. So I already started feeling this presence. Um, and I knew that one of the reasons I was here was to connect to this presence that I'm calling God. Um, but it wasn't until, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 days in that I had my first of a couple massive breakdowns. And the breakdowns were I was meeting myself at my deepest wounds or my deepest fears. So, most of the time, when you find yourself in massive fears, you're in your mind. When you're in your body, you will be able to access peace. You will be able to access calm. You'll be able to access this essence of God. When you're in mind, that's when panic sets in. That's when you go through the monkey mind and you go down all these horrible scenarios and your deepest fears come true and you find yourself excavating these deep traumas within your body. And a trauma is just simply a space held. If you've worked through this trauma and you find yourself reopening the door of this trauma room, let's say, what you're doing is you're walking into a space within your body that is energetic, that has all these memories, right? It has all these people, perhaps. It has emotions, it has thought forms. And what I watched myself do is open up this a door, and I literally watched myself go from a state of calm and peace, a place where I was like, "Oh, I love being here. It's so calm. I'm so centered. I'm so aligned. I am just good. This feels good." Um, I found myself all of a sudden accessing these tattoos almost within me of deep familiar patterns and thought forms and emotions. And I watched myself, I could track myself losing the grip. It's fascinating to watch. When you have nothing around you, when you have no distraction, when you have no familiar nothing, you're pulled out of everything and you're courageous enough to face it. You're courageous enough to just sit with what's arising. You can track your mind and you'll track yourself losing it. You're like, "Oh, I'm 20% going. I'm 40% going. I'm 60% going. I've now lost it." I'm very good at tracking that, and I'm very good at being aware of, I'm now no longer kind of aligned and connected with my physical body. I am now in a state of, like a trauma state. It's the only way that I can describe it. It's a real, identified version of me that's connected to massive traumas that have happened to me in the past. And so when I'm in that state here, I'm like deeply disconnected from this God that I was feeling and very, very vulnerable. And I'm like, why is this happening? Like, why? It wasn't like something catapulted it or necessarily. Thank you, Steve, for that super chat. It wasn't like something was the catalyst necessarily for it. I was just being pummeled once again to my knees. And this was right as the fires were going on in LA. This was right around the fires happening in LA. Um, and I f I sat with myself and I turned on. You guys know that I've been listening to gospel music lately because I had some really intense experiences in my house. I had some demons and demonic energy coming in, and I recognized the power of gospel music and the power of, Jesus. And so here I am a couple of days into this retreat where I'm gonna sitting here where I'm gonna be writing, and I have a massive breakdown. Um, and I'm when I have my breakdowns, thank you, Marcia. I have a fear. I'm like, oh, this isn't good. Like I'm aware, I'm conscious, I'm in it. I'm 100% in it, but I'm very aware that like I've lost sort of like I've lost the natural state that I'm designed to be in, aligned, connected to body. Anyways, so I sit and I do the only thing I know how to do now, which by the way is not going to galactic beings. It is not going to angels. It's not going to archangels. It's not going to ascended masters. It's going straight to Jesus. And it's going straight to God. I've been in this world since I was 13. I have connected to all kinds of energies. I used to sit in the Galactic Federation of Lights ship, mothership. I can connect to galactic beings that are right here in the lake. And when I am at my most dire straits, I go straight to Jesus and I go straight to God. And when I do that, I immediately feel peace. Immediately. And the other day, I sat here on this couch and I was crying and bawling. not because something dramatic was happening to me. I was just feeling this overwhelming sense of loss, like the collective loss, um, confusion, um, not knowing what I was doing. There was just it was like I was in this void, okay? I don't know how to explain it. It just there wasn't anything wrong with me. I just found myself in this vast void space. And I turned on a gospel song, and no joke, I had my hands up in the air and I was praying and I was bawling. I'm talking bawling because I was connecting to this Holy Spirit. This I was connecting to this God that I have felt before, um, in different states. And I called Jesus into this space and into my room, into this tent, and he came in immediately, and within minutes, I was in absolute peace. I swear to you, the stress, the anxiety, the worry, the fears, it was gone, gone. And by the way, it has not come back. It has not come back. And I've experienced these miraculous moments with Jesus before, and I've experienced these miraculous emotional moments with God before, but they keep happening more and more. And I'm not choosing this. I'm not saying, "You know what? I mean, I am committing myself to God and to Jesus more and more, but I'm not trying to. I'm not saying, "You know what? This is the path I wanna go down. I wanna start going down the path of, um, really connecting to this God essence and really following the path of how Jesus walked and following his teachings and all." It's not my choice. I mean, I like the quantum field. I like galactic stuff. I like, what is this? What is this gospel music I'm watching and listening to? Why am I watching church YouTube lives, church services? Like, what is happening here? This was like 5 days ago or the 5th day in, okay? And something miraculous happened, and so the next day, I wake up and I sit down and I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna listen to that gospel song again. I'm just gonna see what happens. I'm just gonna keep seeing what happens." And f I sat on this couch the following day, and I listened to that same gospel song, and then I had another gospel song, and then another, and you guys, if to try to describe to you what I felt, I've never in my life, other than the few times when I was in my awareness practice, where I tapped into this essence of God, where I cried. I wasn't crying sad tears. I was crying because I felt this divine essence. I felt like I didn't have to do life on my own. I felt like I didn't have to figure it out or find it. I felt like I was taken care of, that I was held, that I was loved, that I was, and I wanna be real clear on this. I'm not talking about some man standing there saying, you know, "I'm gonna save you." That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there is this divine intelligence that is God, that is you and me and that is all around us. And it is all it's asking for is for us to say, you know what? The part of me that thinks that I know how to do all of this, the egoic, I got to figure this out. I got to figure this out. I got to find out if it's this, the deep state, or if it's this, or if aliens are coming, or how do I heal this, or how do I heal that, or do I need to buy more supplements, or how do I get rid of this? All the shit that's in your mind all day long, God's literally saying, you know, you could hand that to me and you could be in peace. And we're like, nope, I am sovereign and I am strong and I can do this. And that is not sovereign and not strong. And that means I'm weak and this and that. And the moment I started saying, okay, this keeps presenting itself and I need to be in this because I'm not choosing this. This is just coming in. So let me see what happens. My entire life has changed these past 2 weeks t to recognize, like, it even brings me to tears right now to realize what's available to humanity and what humanity is gonna be able to access, and what so many humans are already accessing, um, but it's going to be really rattling for us because we live in a very, we talk about, I'm going all over the place, I know that, I apologize, but I've talked about it since 2020, that we are in a matrix and a world, thank you for that super chat again, where we are in a controlled state, right? We are manipulated, we are mind controlled, we are programmed, right? And so in that awareness, we think we have to figure out how to get out of that, right? I need more awareness. I need to know more things. I need to do this. I need to do that. People are asleep. There's all these NPC people or whatever we people call that. Like we're in control of everything. And there's a beauty in this process of evolution. That's necessary. That's part of the awakening. But what starts to happen and what I'm realizing right now, I'm humbly realizing right now, is that there's this next level that's going to start happening where we realize, "Oh, I've gotta now no longer be in control." And this doesn't mean that you don't make choices, okay? This doesn't mean that you don't create vision boards. You do your life, but you realize that there is something much bigger right now that is starting to come down onto the planet. You can call it Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness, by the way, is not something that you can actually get to. You can't do it. You can't figure it out. There are not these steps to take because Christ consciousness is the embodiment of Christ in the physical form, which is the alignment with God, right? And that means that you have to dissolve all of the attachment that you have to who you are. And the only way that that can happen is that you've got to break down. You've got to fall to your knees because everything is being taken from you. Because all of your possessions are being taken from you. Because everything that has worked in the past isn't working anymore, right? The only way for humanity to humble themselves into the awareness that they are not who they think they are and they actually aren't in control is that everything that they have had that has left them feeling in control has to be taken from them. This is what's going to be happening on the planet. We are going to start to see, and I pray that this happens with as much ease and grace. Thank you, Jill, as much ease and grace as possible going forward. But what is happening on the planet is a breakdown of every single way that we have been doing this life in order to release it and hand it over to, first and foremost, something bigger than you, outside of you, so that you can realize, "Oh, this is inside of me." I thought about Eckhart Tolle today because I was trying to wrap my head around God. Literally, you guys, I've been really contemplating trying to figure out what this is the last 2 weeks because it's really pulled me out of my teachings. It's pulled me out of where I thought I was going. It's pulled me out of the trajectory of where I thought I was teaching and going and taking everyone, and it's pulled me into a completely different trajectory, which is that God is the only way. And however you wanna see God, universe is the only way, source is the only way, and everything else has to fall apart. Everything else has to dissolve. Everything else. Any time that there is a question that you have and you go to somebody else, you've gotta go straight to God. Anytime you have fear, you go to God. Anytime you have confusion, you go to God. What have we been doing? Most of our lives, we go to other idols. We go to other teachers. You go to me, you go to, right? And we lean on them. And then we take on their anxiety and their stress and their truths. And then we get wrapped up in it. And then there becomes this divide over who's right and who's wrong. And then all we're doing is circulating and recycling the illusion of this entire planet, thinking that we are free and that we are safe and that we are at peace and we are good because we're in control. It's not until we lose things that we realize, oh my God, wait a second, I'm not in control here. Hold on, is there something bigger that I can go to? The amount of people that are going to start to have this type of a realization is going to be exponentially higher than any other time on the planet. And that's what the evolution and the awakening is all about. And what's interesting is when I was, when I, so the other day, so I've been here for almost 2 weeks and I've done nothing productive other than the bare minimum that I need to do. And I've just been sitting with God. I've been sitting with Jesus. I've been sitting with gospel music. I've been sitting with listening to these churches that do these lives on YouTube. I've been in shock. I've been trying to figure out how am I going to do this? How am I going to teach from this new awareness? And it's not it's not knowledge. It's an experience. I feel like when you really touch the soul, the essence of God, and you touch it over and over again, and you really feel the power of Jesus, and not the religious figure, okay? I'm talking about this energy that is here to literally he assist the entire planet from the demonic, dark, evil energies. When you start experiencing it firsthand, you can't turn away. You would be an idiot. I can't turn away from what the miracles. I mean, first of all, the miracles I received at my house last month when I had the demonic experiences and the demons come in, and I literally went into almost like a psychotic break, and the only thing that worked was Jesus and God. I have access to all kinds of energies. I have access to all kinds of beings. I have access to all kinds of galactics. I am best friends with the Galactic Federation of Light. I know the angels. I know the master. Mm-mm. And so I get here thinking that I'm gonna write this book, and I'm gonna channel this book from these galactic beings, and I know exactly what it's gonna be about, and I'm gonna I got this. And it was like, "No, you don't. No. This is a deeper communion with God and Jesus," which was not my plan. Not only are those 2 words some of the most contentious words out there, it really triggers people, it really upsets people, it really creates a divide in people when you use those words. How am I gonna start using these words? How am I gonna start teaching about this? How am I gonna start talking about this? But it is the only thing that is in my body right now. It is the only experiences I've been having here for 2 weeks. And when I heard about the fires and I felt the energy of those incredibly devastating fires in LA, and I was paralleling it to what my experience was right here with God and what God was telling me, and what I was feeling, which was that if people don't start accessing something outside of them, there's gonna be a lot more suffering on the planet. And when I felt into the energies and of the fires, I knew it wasn't the deep state. I knew that it wasn't the Illuminati and it wasn't the governments and it wasn't all of what everybody is talking about. I knew it was bigger than that. I knew it was way bigger than that. And it's freaky for me to even feel this, much less say it or talk about it, because I am all about the systems that have been controlling us. Go back to my videos from 2018. That's all I talk about. So for me to to feel into and to know at such a deep level that this is even the deep state, even they were surprised by what happened in LA. There is a force that is coined to come down onto this planet that I will call Christ consciousness for those of us that don't like the word God or Jesus, but there is an energy that is about to take over this planet for our highest good, to awaken us, to bring us into miracles, to dare I even say to save us from our own destruction. And fortunately or unfortunately, there will be a lot of upheaval. Thank you, Jessica, so much for that super chat. There will be a lot of upheaval. Um, a lot is going to happen, and one of the beautiful things about what's happening for us is that it opens our hearts, which is God, which is Christ, which is the Christ consciousness. It's the awakening. It opens our hearts. It brings us together. But the other thing that it's going to require us to do is start to realize that the ways in which we have been living, and thank you, Lori, for that super chat. Thank you, guys. It means a lot. The way that we have been, the lens that we have been using in terms of what's important and what we put first and what matters and um, what we're bowing to, what we are literally, what are we bowing to? What's on our altar, you know? Um, and if it is not service to humanity first, which is also service to you, um, we will continue to find ourselves in places where everything will be taken from us. And the other incredible piece to all of this is the amount of miracles that happen when you stop trying to be in control. The only way for you to realize how loved you are, how protected you are, how held you are, how many ways in which you, this other version of you, which I call God, it's not soul. It's not higher self. It is so much bigger than that. And it is you, because we are all it. We are all this essence of God, right? I'm going to skip to this story. I was talking to this woman that works here for like 3 hours the other day. We had the most incredible conversation. We were talking about hierarchy, because in Kenya, you can really feel the hierarchy, okay? Especially if you're white. And there is just this way in which they see white people. She was telling me, we see you guys as gods, basically. This was her words, not mine. We, you are, they look up to us. And I said, what would be so interesting? I said, imagine this whole camp is full of people from all different countries. And we had this natural disaster. Okay. And we all had to come together in an instant, right? Instantaneously, that hierarchy is gone. It's not by choice. That hierarchy is gone. And all of a sudden, we are all working together to just survive. And as we were talking about this, I said, that's our natural state. That's the God state. That's our natural, that is a state that you naturally go to. Okay. When you are in a situation like a disaster or something, you don't stay in that unnatural state of hierarchy. So think about this. We are living in unnatural states of being. They're not our natural state. They are not godly. They're not. They're programmed. They're based out of fear and trauma. They're unconscious. And the only way for us to go into and to find ourselves in our natural states is that perhaps, unfortunately, natural disasters are going to start happening more and more. And if we learn from them, we will stay in our natural state of godlyhood. We will stay in it. We will immediately connect to God. We will immediately connect to heart. We will immediately connect to soul. We will immediately connect to Christ, to consciousness. You don't have to do anything. It connects you immediately. It doesn't matter all of the theories that are going around about whether it's the deep state or the Illuminati or the governments or the corrupt these people or the 12 families that are in charge that are the one new world. None of that matters. What matters is that you break down into your natural state, which is this God state that you cannot get yourself to because you are too programmed in the mind. We're too programmed to figure out how to get there. So what happens is if you are lucky enough, you'll have such a massive breakdown in your life that you will finally let go of trying to control it. You'll stop going to all the different people that you think are going to heal you. You'll stop trying to chase a high of feeling better. You'll stop trying to heal yourself. You'll stop trying to fix yourself, and you'll just go straight to God, which will immediately bring you to you, which is not the you think you are. But we have to be broken down to such a state, unfortunately, that we stop doing the merry-go-rounds of everything that we've been doing, because everything we're doing is we're trying to find the solution through something outside of us. And again, the solution, unfortunately, isn't even in us right now. It's this essence that's coming in. Literally, like so the other day, I'm going to give you another example of what happened to me while I was here. So I was sitting in the front area doing some work, uploading a video, and I started going into my mind thinking about this scenario. I won't give you the details of the scenario, but I'm in this scenario and I'm trying to figure it out. Did this person lie to me? Was this the truth? Maybe they meant this. What am I going to do the next time this happens? Like, I'm just in this monkey mind. And I'm aware of it because I'm aware. I'm super duper aware. And I'm like, holy shit. Thank you for that super chat. I'm like, holy shit, wait a second. What am I doing? Little Lori is trying to figure everything out. Why is this happening? What do I need to do about it? Should I look at this? Should I figure this out? Well, I know that they were trying to do that. Stop, Lori, because first of all, that just creates anxiety, stress, worry. Ugh. What am I going to do? Eventually figure something out that isn't even mine to figure out? Stop, Lori. And I stopped and I said, hand it to God. That can be anything to you, okay? It can be source, spirit, universe. I love feeling that I'm literally handing it to this magnificent being called God. And I'm like, you know what? You can have this. And God says, oh my God, thank you. I was just waiting for you to give it to me. I'll take that from you. And I immediately felt peace. Immediately. Gone. Could I go back into that room in my monkey mind and play in it? Of course. Do I want to? No. I'd prefer to just hand it to God and do the rest of my day, which is exactly what I did. And do you want to know what? I never went back into that monkey mind room. I have not been back in that monkey mind room since I handed it to God. Now, the problem here is that most of us don't trust whatever this is, because it's like, no, I've been in the spiritual community long enough. I know that I can do it. I know that it's in here. Christ consciousness is in here. Soul is in here. God is in here. It's all in here. The problem with that is that you're still in control. You're still in control. So you're going to figure out how to go in here. You're going to figure out how to stop the monkey mind. You're going to figure it all out. It takes a lot more trust and faith to say, you know what? What would happen? Because this is not my forte, by the way. Okay. My teachings are go in. My teachings are souls in here. You guys know my teachings are not this. This has rattled me. This has taken me to a totally different place. It's been very uncomfortable. To say that this has been comfortable is an understatement. This has been extremely uncomfortable. Do you understand I'm listening to gospel music and I'm feeling relieved? Like, rap I this is not making sense to me, but it's happening. So I'm going with it and I'm sharing it with you guys vulnerably because I don't know what else to do with it. So what happens is that when we start to have faith, the faith of a mustard seed, that something bigger than the me that thinks that it's in control and can do all this can actually help the little Lori that thinks that she can do everything. The moment that happens, the moment you feel some sort of relief, you feel an experience from it, you feel an effect, you start to trust it again. You're like, "You know what? That one time when I did hand it over and I felt relief, it worked. Let me try to do that again." You do it again and you get a little bit more relief. And then you do it again and then you do it again and you build trust. You start building trust with something that you're not familiar with. Thank you, Martha, for that really very generous super chat. You start having faith in something that's bigger than you, that is still you, okay? If you think about Jesus, I mean, he said he was the Son of God, right? Why? Because he knew that he was that. He came from that. We all come from God. We're all sons and daughters of God, but we don't live there because we're in control. We're going to figure everything out. Jesus didn't figure anything out. God was working through him, as him, and it sparked the God essence in him. But he had to come to he had to come to terms with the fact that he's not. I mean, he went to the desert for 40 days and contemplated and had mass God only knows what happened to him in those 40 days in the desert. But there is a coming to Jesus that starts to happen to us when we realize, "Oh, this whole idea of going to 5D and I'm going to bring myself to 5D and I'm going to raise my vibration and raise my frequency." I mean, I've never been a big fan of that anyways, but now I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to tell you guys something. I've been on this path for a very long time. I have done all kinds of classes. I have done I've done all kinds of teachings. I have felt all kinds of massive high frequencies. I've astral projected. I can bilocate. I can take myself up to different galactic ships. I can remote view. I can do it all. Nothing, nothing compares to the feelings that I have felt connecting to God and Jesus. Nothing. Nothing has felt safer. Nothing has felt more peaceful. Nothing has felt more aligned. Nothing has felt more loving. Nothing has connected me to humanity in the way that this has. Nothing has softened me. Nothing has humbled me. I want to share a story. So, about in 2023, I started going into a deep awareness practice, and I started practicing awareness, like Eckhart Tolle stuff. Also, I wanted to share something because I was trying to contemplate and understand this whole God concept, right? And I was like, well, what about Eckhart Tolle and like Byron Katie and some of these really enlightened humans? And a handful of these had these uh, awakenings that happened instantaneously, and they were immediately sort of connected to that godliness, right? So they didn't have to sort of crawl their way there through first kind of accessing this God essence around them, only for it to access it within them, right? Because it's not about, I'm going to access this God awareness outside of me and that's it. The whole point is to embody it within your own physical human experience, right? So it's about embodying God within you. But fortunately or unfortunately, I mean, this is just the way I'm experiencing it right now. You know, we're not in control of it. So you have to kind of hand it over first for you to humble yourself to this human experience and just how complex it is in order for that awareness to bring you right back into that godly state. But you know, anyways, so I was practicing awareness. So what I was saying was like Eckhart Tolle, Byron Katie, a couple of these other people, they had this immediate and it was just dunk, you know, it's very rare, very rare. You can have all the awarenesses in the world around like, "Oh, yeah, all of my reincarnations, and oh, yeah, this is happening on on these different planets, and this is how the quantum field works," and all of that awareness is just knowledge. It's not the God state, you know? The quantum field and the dimensions and all of that and, like, how energy works and how time works, that's all just knowledge. It's not actually the state of being of godliness, right? And it's mind-blowing. I'm like, "Whoa, stop." So, anywho, back to my story. I was practicing awareness every day, right? I would sit and would look at my thoughts and I would the whole point of my practice, I practiced it for a year with a dear friend of mine. And that's when I started my Align classes because I was practicing awareness and it shifted me tremendously. Um, but what the interesting thing about an awareness practice is it also will connect you to God, but it connects you to God inside of you, which is way more powerful and intense than the God essence that I'm feeling around me. Now, they're the same essence. It's the same essence. Okay. It's the same thing. It's God. It's everything. Source, universe, consciousness, whatever. It's all of it. But when I accessed it through my awareness practice, which was very I only accessed it, truly accessed it through awareness once in that 1 year, and I'll never forget that night, and I went into this bliss state, and I started to cry, just like I was crying here on the couch, connecting to God through the gospel music. It was the same feeling, but through my awareness practice that year, I was God. I was that bliss. I was that essence that I'm connecting to now. I was it. And so everything dissolved. And when you're in an awareness practice, what's so fascinating about it is that your identity dissolves. You just dissolve. If you really get to that state, it becomes addictive. That's why people are chasing that state. They're chasing God, right? And so it becomes an addiction. It becomes a chase for it. Because when you do access it through awareness practice, it's the greatest feeling you'll ever feel in your entire life. The other thing I felt when I did blast into that oneness state of God, I felt the suffering of humanity. And I've felt that suffering a few other times through the practice of connecting into Christ consciousness. So through Jesus, when I connect to this Christ consciousness, or when I connect into Jesus's energy, sometimes I will feel the suffering of the entire planet, and it's heartbreaking. And so the reason I'm sharing this story about how I accessed that state of oneness of God inside of me and how it is connected to what I'm experiencing now is that it's the same thing. It's just much easier to connect to it around me than it is to try to figure out how to get in there and do it. It's right here at all times. I have access to it right now. Right now, I have access to it. Is it me actually experiencing itself as God? No, not yet, but it will be. It will be. And in the meantime, I am going to access it and use it for what it's here for. It's here to take away your suffering. It's here to take away the idea that you're in control. It's here to take away the idea that anything outside of you is the idol that you should be worshiping. You should only be going straight to this essence. Only. When you have a problem, go to it. When you have a question, go to it. When you're confused, go to it. When you want healing on your body, ask God or source, whatever you want to call it. Ask it. Start forming a relationship with it. Start becoming intimate with it, because anything outside of it is going to create suffering, confusion, anxiety, worry, fear, and divide. More manipulation, more divide. I mean, think about the LA fires right now. There's so much decisiveness and like fight against what happened and who did it and why they did it, and no, it's this, and no, it's this, and how could you possibly say that, and why are you thinking that about these people, and they can, all these arguments. And it's like, if we just stopped for a minute and went straight to God and said, God, how do you want me to see this? What would God say? As an essence, as this divine blueprint that we all are. Would he say, oh, or she say, or would it say, oh, you know, it's this or it's that? No, I guarantee you it won't. Go ahead and try it. When another one of these horrific events happen on the planet, are we still going to be blaming it on the deep state and the Illuminati and all of these people? Or are we going to start to look out and say, what is this teaching me? How many times am I going to go and listen to how it's this person or this government or this or that? Because all that's doing is pulling us out of what this is trying to get us to see. It's as if a loud voice, right? A loud giant came in and shook this entire schoolroom that you were in. Okay. And in that process, all of your books flew around, your desk got turned over, your chair got broken, and you're looking around at everybody else and you're screaming and yelling and you're saying, I can't believe this happened. I'm pretty sure this happened because of this. And you guys are in that room arguing over what may have caused it within the room. Meanwhile, there's this giant standing outside the room saying, when are you going to look at me and recognize that I'm here? And all we're doing is fighting inside the room, trying to figure out why it happened inside the room. And we're going to keep going to all these stories because it's going to satiate us. Oh, that's why. Oh, that's why. Oh, that's why. Meanwhile, there's this giant that actually shook it. And we have to start to say, wait a second. Is there something else? Do you see the lights shaking right now? You see them flickering? We have to start to shift our perspective. We have to start to shift the lens. It's not going to be easy. Maybe it'll be very easy, but this is where miracles are going to come into your life. This is where more peace is going to come into your life. This is where more ease is going to come into your life. This is more grace is going to come into your life. This is where more abundance is going to come into your life. This is where more magic is going to come into your life. This is where more peace in your body is going to come into your life. This is where you're going to you're no longer going to have all of these arguments and disagreements with your family and your friends and loved ones. Your heart is going to burst open because you're going to start to realize there's this massive giant that's shaking this entire schoolroom, and I'm not in charge anymore. And I need to stop looking around and blaming all these other people and continuing to play in all these other people's stories. What's the bigger picture right now? What's happening? What is going on here? Because all those stories, my friend, all those stories are very real inside the school box. You know, we can follow the trail and we can say, oh, yep, see, there it is. The government was bad. The government did this. They purposely did that. Yep, that's what's happening. And meanwhile, there is something so much bigger that's trying to get our attention. Why? So that it can pull us out of the suffering and the fears and the fight and the trap of what we think is going to make us happy, what's going to satiate us, what's going to create success in our lives, what's going to create happiness in our lives. The God state that is this evolution, everybody that says they're moving into 5D, oh yeah, let's take away all your possessions. Let's take away all of, the things that made you feel safe and comfortable. Then where are you at? And I'm not saying this needs to happen, but what I'm saying is that there's this illusion of how we're going to get to these higher states of consciousness. And then there's actually the higher states of consciousness that just happen. They just arise. We just become. And it's not through all these, it's through the shake. It's through the getting onto our knees and saying, wait a second, maybe it's not about all of this other stuff that I've been thinking that it's about. But all those things are going to be there because that's part of the school. That's in the schoolroom. And it's going to be there. But there's another level of this evolution that's coming onto the planet right now. And it's a wave that's gonna, you know, it's a beautiful wave that's going to start to awaken humanity into another level of awareness if they're capable of opening to it. And so I was thinking about evolution and how it's all about change. It's a change in your perspective, it's a change in your state of being. And we're always in a constant state of change if you are allowing for the evolution to take you, which is the flow state. So the only way that God can work through you and the only way that you can access this God state within you is that you have to be in a flow state. You have to let go and let God. That's the evolution. And when you do that, you'll start to realize that your opinions change, your truths change, what you listen to changes, what you feel like changes, the people you're around changes, your emotions change. And this happens every hour upon the hour. Like, oh man, I really love listening to this. And then 3 hours later, you're like, I can't stand it. That's evolution. Welcome. That is the river that you're on. And so if we're holding tight to these concepts and these constructs for years upon years, we might want to start asking ourselves why. And I'll tell you the reason why. Makes you feel safe. There is nothing more uncomfortable, especially if you're a teacher like myself. There is nothing more uncomfortable than to all of a sudden be gifted with this new awareness around things or be shown these new things that are absolutely truth to you in your beingness. And then you have to change everything. Change is not comfortable. We like consistency. We like the same things, right? But in order for us to be able to kind of move into this next level of evolution that we're in, that a lot of us are going to start to find ourselves in, we have to let go. We have to start letting go more and more. And my experience of letting go is just like that story I told you where I was in my monkey mind and I was like, why did that happen? Maybe it's because of this, and maybe they did this, and then they did this, and then this is going to happen, and I bet you they're going to come back and try to. Nope. Here you go. I'm gonna just go. That giant that rocked my schoolhouse? Here you go. I'm gonna hand this. Can you take this? He's sure. What else do you want me to take? Boom, you're out of it. But it's practice. It's constant practice. Everything's gonna start changing for humanity. I mean, it already is, but if there's anything that I can leave you with today, thank you for being with me for this long. Thank you for letting me share this, whether it resonated or didn't resonate. Thank you for still just being here and listening to me. Um, if there's anything that I want to share with you tonight around my 2 weeks of deeper integration of God and Jesus and gospel music and all the things that I've been experiencing, bawling at the feet of all of this. Um, It's that beautiful things are coming for you. That as scary as it may be to let go of certain things and to literally get out of the monkey mind because you think that if you're in the monkey mind and figuring things out, that you'll be safer. The more that you can trust that you can let go, you can stop, that there is something bigger than you around you that you call whatever you want to call it, but it wants to be of service so that you can be of higher service to humanity, and that you deserve so much um, ease and grace and love and peace and health and vitality. You know, so much of what a lot of us are experiencing is because of these horrible, weird energies that are on the planet and the poisons that are on the planet, and it's not even you, right? And you're beating yourself up and you're tearing yourself down and you're comparing yourself and you're in these deep, dark states of just like, ugh, I know I've been there. And when you're in those states, you don't know what to do. You're desperate. And so I'm offering you a suggestion of hand it over. Just try it. And if it doesn't work, keep trying. What do you have to lose? The greatest healer on this planet is God. The greatest miracle maker on this planet is God. It's not your neighbor. It's not your doctor. It's not me. It's not another spiritual teacher. It's not a manifester that can make you millions of dollars. It's not a preacher. It's not a psychic. It's not a tarot reader. It's none of us. None of us. It's much bigger. And it's the most miraculous, beautiful energy that we will ever feel. It's us. It will not turn our backs on us. Um, it's going nowhere until we see it and we invite it. And when we start doing that, we're going to start to recognize it inside of ourselves. Pay attention to control. Pay attention to how most things in the world has some essence of control in it. Just pay attention. Pay attention when you're in your monkey mind, okay, when you want to control. And can you walk out of that monkey mind room and hand it to God? Can you get on your knees and start praying? And if you have the courage, try this. If you are in desperateness, okay? Desperateness, and you're just in it, put a gospel song on. I recommend like Elevation Worship or Brandon Lake or I don't know, a couple others. Um, you can reach out to me and I'll send you a list. Put it on and see what happens. Stop trying to be in control of how this spiritual evolution works. Let magic and miracles happen by just trying something different and just opening your mind up to the possibility that maybe what we thought was so satanic and dark and wrong, maybe it has some sort of healing power to it, actually. I've met with demons in my bedroom. I know demonic energy. Gospel music is the opposite of that. I know I've been face to face with the demons, and there is nothing like it on the planet. Nothing. You can't disguise it. All right, you guys. Um, Yeah, let me share really quickly some of the songs. Hold on one second. So, um, I have been binging a couple of songs. Who in the heck would have ever thought that I would be, um, sharing gospel music? 3 years ago, I was on Galactic Federation of Light ships, channeling them, and now I'm listening to gospel music. Okay, so this song I've been binging. Like, if this song doesn't get you in some way, shape, or form, I just posted it on the chat. I don't know what will. Okay, so that song I've been binging, but this is the song that brought me, like, massive breakdown tears. Okay, so hold on. Okay, so this is the song where I was legit in church, like, holding up my hands. I was like, I you guys, to say that I have been, like, I don't even know what's happened to me, but, like, I was literally listening to this song. Okay, wait, here it is. Okay, I was listening to this song, I just posted it, on the chat, and I was, like, bawling, crying, just feeling like I just felt this Holy Spirit coming into me. I felt love. I was bawling. It was like guttural bawling. I can't even explain it. And I had my hands in the air like you do if you were at church. I was like, "Oh my god, what is happening?" And I was just like I was going I was full-fledged in this Holy Spirit energy. And I'm like, "What is going on? What is going on? What is going on?" But I'll tell you, if it helps one of I did my job. If just one of you trusts me enough to try this when you're in real pain and suffering, I did my job. I did my job. Um, um, yeah, I'll post a gospel list. All right, you guys, I love you so much. Thank you for being here on Untangled, literally untangling how we're doing all of this on this planet. And what a wild ride. I appreciate you just being a part of my community here, whether this was something very difficult to listen to, completely triggered you or not. That's what we're here to do. We're here to be able to walk each other through these moments and these days and hold each other and say, I'll listen. I may not agree, but I'll listen to you, you know? Listen to people. You may not agree with them, but just listen to them. Hold space for them. We don't all have to be at the same place at the same time because it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Stop fighting and dividing and saying this is the right way, this is the wrong way, this is the truth, this isn't the truth. We're going to keep doing this over and over. You see it in the LA fires. You're going to see it in the next devastation. You're going to see it in the next thing that unravels. You're going to see it in the inauguration of Trump. You're going to see it everywhere. Fight, fight, fight. It's like, when are we going to wake the fuck up and stop doing that? Not until we get to our knees, hand it over, and let that Holy Spirit come in. Let God come in. Jeez Louise. All right, you guys, I love you. And I will see you next Tuesday here in Kenya. I'm in Kenya until the end of February. So um yeah, we're doing it. I love you guys. And yeah, hit the like button if you got something out of this. And I'll see you next Tuesday at maybe 8 a.m. So it's a little bit earlier for me. Lots of love. Bye, you guys.